Greetings, people who probably live in a warmer climate than I do. It's 9 degrees outside and I hate it. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, Amplified Circle of Fifths, 18A and 18B, you know what I'm talking about, and we can pick up from there and move on, okay? Now, I've been talking about how I tried to develop my Amplified Circle of Fifths, all right? Keeping in mind the Stradella bass system on the accordion, okay? I wanted to keep it in mind and consider it and try to factor it in. Now, I got to a hurdle. I got to a problem area right in the beginning because I wanted to base my circle of fifths on the minor third interval, okay? But as we know, on the Stradella bass, between the counter bass, all right, the counter bass and the bass, we have a major third interval. I couldn't remedy that. Now, I did find this on the 140 bass button Stradella system. It has 140 buttons, okay? Because that accordion has your bass row, your bass rank, all right? It has a counter bass rank, and it has a counter bass 2 rank. It has 2 counter bass rows or ranks, all right? And you see from the bass to the second counter bass rank, you do have the minor third. Okay, you have the minor third interval. So between your 120 button setup and your 140 button setup, this is just a partial chart, you do have that concept of the root to minor third. Okay, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then we move forward. Now, when we're talking about the blues and blues scales and how to form them using the Amplified Circle of Fifths, certain slices in the circle have more value than others. When you're talking about the blues, okay, the 2 most valuable slices are your subject slice and your aggregating slice, which I've showed in previous videos. In other words, here we have your subject slice with your root, okay, or your tonal center. And you have your aggregating slice, the slice across from your subject slice. And we talked about that and how that works. So you see that the slice value of these 2 slices is very high. But when we're talking about correlating with the Stradella bass system, there's a different list. Your slices that are of the greatest importance are the subject slice, the forward slice, the rearward slice, and then finally the sister slice. In other words, when you're trying to correlate the circle with the Stradella, your priorities are a little different. Here's your Stradella slice pair number 1, I call it, and that's made up of your subject slice, all right, and your forward slice. This is very, very important for our studies. Here's your tonal center. And so you see the priorities here: subject, forward, rearward, and then sister slices. There's several, all right, on each chart. Now, if you understand that so far, and you think back to the previous videos, you'll see that from your Stradella slice pair number 1, which is your subject and forward slice combined, all right, you get all the tones you need to fill out 4 complete files on the Stradella 120 button setup. I showed you these. Now, all right, what I didn't say was, here's the beautiful stuff. We go a little deeper here. The beautiful thing is the tones provided for by that Stradella slice pair number 1, the most critical one, are the tones for your root file itself. That's your C file, all right? Let's call it the root file. Then you have your, here you have your relative minor. A is a relative minor of C. So you have all the tones needed to fill the relative minor file. Okay, that's clear. Then you have your relative major of C, which is E flat. You have all the tones needed to fill in that file. So your relative major file. And you also have all the tones needed to fill out your augmented 4 or diminished 5 file. Now, in previous videos, I talked about this augmented 4 or diminished 5 as being what they call the devil's interval. In my video, Amplified Circle of Fifths, number 3, Psychology in the Amplified Circle of Fifths, I talked about the devil's interval. And to some people, it's no big deal, but it was an interval. It was a type of sound that bothered people for hundreds of years. So they called it the devil in music, or the devil's interval. So you see a beautiful thing here. You see with that slice pair, that critical fundamental slice pair, all right, the subject with the forward slice, you get all the tones to fill all these beautiful things. Your root, relative minor, relative major, devil's interval, you get all that good stuff. And you see you still have that minor third theoretical, hypothetical flow on your Stradella button system, okay? Now, if you follow that so far, good, because now we'll go a little bit deeper. This is totally cool. People watch on YouTube 5 billion videos each day. I could not find one video that talks about this. I could not find one, even one, that correlates the Harmonic Series directly with my Amplified Circle of Fifths or the Stradella bass buttons. Now watch this. Here's the Harmonic Series. This is a very basic chart I put together. It's just almost handwritten. And here's your C2, your fundamental, okay, your C tone. And then you see on here you have your octave. I can't see this, maybe you can. Perfect fifth, perfect fourth, major third, minor third. I can't see it on my little phone. But the thing is, if you look at your Stradella chord file, all right, that we just talked about, I blew it up for you on this piece of paper. Just blew it up, made it larger. And I placed it beside the Amplified Circle of Fifths slice, okay? That's a slice. So you see that they are similar, very similar, not exactly parallel. And here's your data ring on your Circle of Fifths. These are your data rings, okay? They go all around the circle. And here's your file. And this is your counter bass rank, your bass rank, major, etc. And then it forms a file when it goes this way. Now, here's a beautiful thing that no one talks about. I haven't seen one person in the universe talk about it. Watch this. You see your root, your fundamental. You have that. And you have that, of course, on your Harmonic Series chart, all right? Let's say it's right here. Now, the Stradella button file is set up such that you have your first significant interval that you see on the Harmonic Series is the major third, and that's in your major rank. Then the next significant interval on the Harmonic Series is the minor third, and you find that here on your minor rank on your C file. And here you see your C to B flat is your dominant 7, and that's featured next in line on your Harmonic Series. Okay, that's featured next. But also, this is a beautiful thing. Nobody talks about it. Now you see here on your diminished rank, okay, going this way, you see a diminished chord. Now, here, the interval from A to E flat is the same as this E to B flat, which is, as I mentioned, featured on the Harmonic Series, and that's your diminished 5 interval, and that is beautifully and clearly featured on your Stradella button file. See that? Your counter bass, your bass, your major with your major third, minor with your minor third, 7 with your minor 7 interval, C to B flat. Then you have your diminished chord. It's actually a complete chord. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it features your diminished 5 interval. This was done over time mechanically. And I don't know what the Stradella people, the man or his family, did to finalize the Stradella button setup. See, we weren't there. We might not even know who the guy is. But the point is, it either happened on purpose or intuitively. It's followed the theme, the beautiful theme of the Harmonic Series. And in most of my videos, these instructional videos, I emphasize the Harmonic Series because it's just fantastic. It occurs naturally in nature. It is given to us for free. It's free. We don't pay for it. We just get it. And I discuss that in other videos. It's a totally cool thing. So you see it here in the Stradella button file on the 120 bass button setup. Okay? Now, those chords I just showed you, if you take your rectangular chart, okay, here's your amplified circle of fifths, only in rectangular form, so you can see it more clearly. All right? In other words, instead of this, the circular angled cells, each one of these is a cell. All right? I just made this chart rectangular so you can see it easier. You see you have your major. See, this is a major chord setup. You have your minor, all the featured intervals in the Harmonic Series, your dominant 7 tones that you need for that chord, and then your diminished tones. But you see they're all on the amplified circle of fifths. They're all contiguous. They're touching in some fashion. They're touching. All right? Now I say that because you need to get a deep view, insight into this Stradella setup. You need to use the Stradella slice pair, especially number 1, because it's a tool that gives you a way, a reason, a technique to look deeply into this and see what I just told you. That's how you get to see it with the Stradella slice pair feature. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm going fast so I don't take forever, but I'd like to come back just to go over just a few last minute things. But the Harmonic Series, though it was scientifically and mechanically discovered and published and talked about, is a gift of nature. It's been given to us for free, and whether you like it or not, it just pops up all over the place in music theory. Okay, I'll come back maybe one more time to wrap it up, and thanks for being incredibly patient. Good night.